Hey, what's up? It's Valencio Cardoso, and I'm here with Peter and Yuriy from Kik Messenger. Hey guys, thanks for having me.
No problem, our pleasure.
So for the people out there who don't know what Kik Messenger is all about yet, what is Kik Messenger?
Well, Kik Messenger is a very simple idea. It's a smartphone messenger that allows people to experience face-to-face conversation in a text format, or at least we get there as close as possible to that realization of that idea. It started about 2 years ago, and it's currently available on Android and iPhone and Windows Phone platforms, with 5 million users worldwide who adopted it. So it's been off for a good start, and we're hoping for more.
I think the face-to-face was a key criteria, and in that criteria, I mean, the speed of the messaging was the main criteria that we evaluated whether the product was meeting that goal. I mean, there's been a lot of studies that even like a couple seconds delay, and you'll get a lot of drop-off in conversation and adoption of the app, and we feel we have one of the fastest apps out there for that.
So speed is a big thing for you guys?
Speed's a big thing, yeah.
It's huge. It's often underestimated because people don't count those milliseconds explicitly, but once they experience the product and when they try other products, that's the first thing they come up to us and say, like, guys, like, you're the fastest, hands down. Like, that's why I went back from Kik after trying all other products.
Cool. So going back to when you guys started, I know every startup has a story. What's the Kik Messenger story, and how did each one of you guys get personally involved in Kik?
I mean, the Kik story started with Ted. I mean, it was his idea and concept, and when I met him, he had a business plan laid out, had a couple programmers, and it was a music sharing app, with chat as one component of it, and that's what the focus was. Now, we had a model called Play Nice, so we wanted to develop a music app that had proper payments and everything else at the end of the day. And that requires a long stretch in terms of licensing and everything else. And we sort of evaluated and saw the space moving very quickly and decided, we have to look at separating out the chat from the music product. And so we spent a period of time doing that, launched our beta, where we had relatively good success, but it wasn't until we took all the inputs from the beta and launched the production version, I guess almost coming up on a year now, that things really took off. And it was quite an exciting period of time. A little bit surreal, actually, in some sense.
And at what point did you get involved?
I got involved probably Ted started in December that year, and I met him in March.
2008.
2008, is it? Or 9?
Oh, 9. You met him in March?
2009.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so it was 2009, and my background, I'm CA and have a business degree, and I have a passion for startups and helping people out and getting them from an idea stage to fruition. And, whether that's limited amount of funding to start with and assisting in getting that and helping to establish direction and then also helping to build the team.
And yourself, Yuriy?
I met Ted about 2 years ago. It was summer 2009. It was very, very random because I came over for a weekend from Vancouver to Toronto for my friend's birthday. And a friend of mine from university, Vasily, who was one of the co-founders of this company, he said, well, you should meet Ted. He's the next Steve Jobs. That's literally word to word.
Wow.
Yeah. I met with Ted, and because I was also contemplating doing my own startup in Vancouver at the same time. But after meeting Ted, I realized I think I better team up with this fella, and I quit my job in Vancouver and moved to Waterloo, and we started working on the music product together. And something behind the story of Kik is the word pivot is very often used in like all the startup blogs.
Right.
We had quite a few of those. Like what Kik started initially, it was actually called Unsynced Media Player.
Wow.
It was a very complex, abstract idea based on the premise that cloud will not even work. A few years later, everybody sees that clouds do work. I'm glad we never pursued that idea further. But yeah, it started as almost as a desktop application that you would bring on your phone and plug into any computer, and you would be able to access your mobile music on any computer that way. Then we pivoted, like Peter said, into mobile streaming application. Then we pivoted into Messenger. And for like one thing for startups to know is never be afraid of pivots. They do eventually bring you to a point when you can just focus on something with a laser sharp attention.
And so, speaking of focus, when you guys started finally focusing and figured out Kik Messenger, you guys went from a few thousand users to a few million users in a very short period of time. What did that influx mean to you guys, and like, how did you guys deal with the amount of people coming in?
There were different levels of dealing with it. I mean, there was dealing with it from a support and infrastructure standpoint. I mean, we literally were at the point where we were worried on the weekend we were going to have a crash because we didn't have enough servers, and we were flying in servers on private planes to our data center.
To Iowa.
So there was so it was the whole infrastructure side had to deal with issues, and then we had fairly good funding already at that point from an angel standpoint, but all of a sudden it was like we had people flying in to meet with us from all over the world, and it was like it was more a case that we had the ability to pick and choose over which VCs we wanted, which was a really, really unique situation.
So finally, when you guys did pick a VC, you guys recently received like a significant amount of funding for that, and
right.
And the same guys who've funded Tumblr, Twitter, Foursquare. How does it feel to be connected to that league of that league of startups? And at the same time, how do you feel this will help you moving forward?
I mean, it was, first of all, it was a great, Ted had been a follower of Union Square and Fred Wilson and some of the other VCs up until that point in time, and so he really knew that was one VC we really wanted in the company. And but initially there was another VC called RRE that was not as, didn't have the notoriety, but had very, very good rankings out of New York. And they were the first to step up to the table in a big way during a time that was quite tough for us because we had the issues going on with certain other companies.
Right.
And they came in spite of that and invested, which gave us a lot of faith. And then we reapproached people like Union Square Ventures and Fred and Spark, and basically came to a deal that made sense for everybody. And so for us, it was a big coup. We couldn't have asked for a better scenario, quite frankly. And it's as far as moving forward, they've been excellent. They've been through this sort of scenario a number of times. They provide good advice, but they don't, tell us exactly, we got to be doing this every day, or focusing on things that aren't very critical. And that's a really big part. I mean, I think sometimes, historically, I've been involved with VCs too, where there's too much. They don't let the founder really evolve, and there are going to be, like Yuriy said, pivots, and they've invested in the founder and the team, and they have to believe in their ability to execute properly. And if they become too controlling, then that's when problems start to happen. And in this case, we've been very, very fortunate with the team we have.
And
those VCs, and on many occasions they have mentioned that they believe in that the best CEOs are founders,
right?
And that's exactly what Peter was saying. Like, they invest in the team, they invest in founders, invest in the early team, and then let them go.
And speaking of investing in teams and people, I know you guys are very closely connected to the startup scene out here in Waterloo and just the local Canadian startup scene. Why do you feel it's important to be connected to the scene and sort of give back? Or
well, we live in a small tech community. Most of the people who live in the startup world, they're either located in one of the incubators. We have two of them here, one accelerator center, another one is a community tech hub. So you see those people, the who is who of KW, seen daily for lunches, for coffee after work. We know each other over years. We go through the same growing pains. We share advice to each other on how to deal with typical startup issues, and you develop very strong connections naturally. You don't come to those people with an idea that I want to. It's important for me to make connections with those people. It's organically that you develop those with them. It's inevitable.
And I think it's too where Ted's whole his ideas and his thought developed in Velocity, which is the dorm incubator at Waterloo, and that's where he, in terms of giving back from his own standpoint, not from a corporate standpoint, he took $1 million, which was basically everything he had in that point in time, and turned around and gave it to the university to invest in Velocity, that now provides the same sort of scenario he had. His grandfather gave
Absolutely.
him 25 grand, and he said, I want those people that aren't that fortunate to have the same sort of ability. So that's speaks to him quite a bit in terms of his mindset and where he sees the support has to be in the community for fostering these types of companies.
Absolutely, and that's amazing. And last question, how do you guys kick it?
How do we kick it? I use Kik quite a bit, like every day, like constantly. I use it for, my son, if I want to get a hold of him, that's the only way I can get a hold of him, basically. And all his friends use it, and I use it with business people because, the ability to, have the scent delivered read and the speed allows me to have conversations in that format. And so it's been really good from that standpoint. And then the third way I use it is I have a fairly easy username, so I get randomly kicked from all over the world, and I have conversations with people in India, China, Ecuador, all over the place.
Fantastic.
And it allows me to learn a little bit more about how they use the product, but then also, it's a great medium, I think, for people to just connect for around the world and understand that we're really not all that different, whether somebody's in India or in South Africa or anywhere else. And I think Kik's a powerful tool that can, do a lot of things
Absolutely.
in that way. So.
Yeah,
And you?
it's very. I like my favorite use case. Like I do all the same thing that Peter does. It's really obvious. But my favorite is when somebody random adds me and sends me, asks them for a picture of where they are, if it's some other exotic country, or if they're doing something interesting, or just a street corner, and you just get a glimpse into their life, and just makes you feel very, very connected. It makes you feel that you're having a face-to-face conversation with that person. That's what Kik is all about, and what I love.
Exactly. And on that note, I'd like to thank you guys for doing this with me, and
You're
it's a
welcome.
wrap.
Great, thanks.
Thank you very much.